The humiliation begins. At a bustling airport, people hurried to catch their flights. Among the crowd was Marcus, a well-dressed black man in his early 30s. He wore a crisp white shirt, dark blazer, and polished shoes. His confident stride and calm demeanor made him stand out, but not in the way he hoped. Today was meant to be a pleasant journey, but little did he know, the day would soon take a turn. As Marcus approached the check-in counter, he noticed a group of airline staff gathered nearby. They laughed and joked, casting glances in his direction. Marcus felt their eyes on him, but brushed it off. He was used to the occasional sideways glance, but this time felt different. The laughter was loud and mocking, and he could not help but feel uneasy. When it was his turn at the counter, a flight attendant named Lisa greeted him. Her smile was forced, and her eyes flickered with judgment. "Good morning, sir. Can I help you?" she asked, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "Yes, I have a ticket for Flight 305 to New York," Marcus replied, trying to keep his voice steady. Lisa typed his information into the computer, her expression barely hiding her disdain. "Oh, you're in first class. Interesting choice for someone like you," she said, smirking as she handed him his boarding pass. Marcus felt a knot tighten in his stomach. He tried to ignore her comment, reminding himself that he deserved this seat just as much as anyone else. But the hurtful words lingered, making him question if he really did belong there. As he walked away, he could hear Lisa whispering to her colleagues. They burst into laughter again. The sound echoed in Marcus's mind, amplifying his unease. Why were they treating him this way? He had worked hard to earn his place in first class, and he refused to let anyone take that away from him. After passing through security, Marcus reached the boarding gate. The airline staff was still there, chatting and joking. He took a deep breath, determined not to let their behavior affect him. He found a quiet corner to sit and waited for the announcement. When it was time to board, Marcus stood up and joined the line. As he walked down the jet bridge, he could feel the eyes of the flight attendants on him again. This time, Lisa stood at the entrance to the plane, arms crossed, her expression cold. "Welcome aboard, sir. First class is right up front," she said, her tone patronizing. Marcus nodded and made his way to his seat, trying to shake off the feeling of humiliation. Once seated, he glanced around the cabin. The first-class section was luxurious, with spacious seats and plush amenities. But as he settled in, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Lisa continued to hover nearby, whispering to another attendant, her eyes darting towards him. It felt as if they were plotting something, and it made him uneasy. The plane was soon filled with passengers, but the laughter and whispers from the crew continued. When they served drinks, Lisa made a point to skip Marcus, serving others first. He watched as she poured wine for a white couple sitting next to him, her smile warm and inviting. Then she turned to him, her expression blank. "What would you like?" she asked, her voice colder than before. "Just water, please," Marcus replied, trying to remain calm. As the flight progressed, Marcus could hear Lisa making jokes about him to the other staff members. "I can't believe he thinks he belongs here," she laughed, and the others joined in. The hurtful words cut deep, but Marcus held his head high, refusing to give them the satisfaction of seeing him upset. While the crew mocked him, Marcus felt a mix of anger and sadness. He had spent years working hard to achieve success, and it was painful to see people dismiss him so easily. He reminded himself that their judgment did not define him. He was a pilot, trained and skilled, and he deserved respect. Suddenly, the plane hit turbulence, causing the lights to flicker. Passengers gasped, and the crew rushed to their stations. Lisa's confident demeanor faltered, and she looked around nervously. Marcus, however, remained calm. He had experienced turbulence many times before and knew it would pass. As the plane shook, Lisa stumbled and grabbed onto the nearest seat for support. Marcus glanced at her, and for the first time, he saw fear in her eyes. The laughter and mockery were gone, replaced by uncertainty. He realized that their world was about to change, and their opinions of him would soon be tested. Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing some turbulence. Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened. The pilot's voice came over the intercom, but the message was drowned out by the sounds of fear and anxiety in the cabin. Marcus's heart raced. He could sense that this was not just any turbulence. Something was wrong. As he looked around, he noticed that passengers were gripping their armrests, their faces pale with worry. The crew, once filled with laughter, now appeared stressed and frantic. In that moment, Marcus knew he had a choice to make. Would he continue to let their insults define him, or would he show them who he really was? He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what lay ahead. The situation was about to change, and the crew would soon realize just how important he was. As the plane jolted again, Marcus's mind raced with thoughts. He could hear the crew members whispering to each other, their earlier arrogance replaced by panic. The tables were about to turn, and Marcus was ready to step up, not just for himself, but for everyone on that flight. Little did the airline staff know that the man they had mocked would soon become their only hope. A life on the line. As the turbulence rattled the airplane, Marcus felt adrenaline surge through him. The passengers around him gripped their armrests, their faces pale with fear. The once lively atmosphere had turned serious, and the flight attendants, who had mocked him moments earlier, were now scrambling to maintain control. Marcus could see the panic in their eyes, and he knew that this was the moment to act. Lisa was shouting instructions to her fellow attendants, her voice strained. "Get everyone calmed down. We need to check on the cabin." She was trying to maintain her authority, but her shaky hands revealed the fear beneath her confident facade. Marcus watched as she hurried down the aisle, her earlier bravado replaced with urgency. The plane shook violently again, and a few passengers let out frightened cries. Marcus could feel his heart racing, but he focused on staying calm. He had trained as a pilot and had flown in turbulent conditions before. He knew what to do. Taking a deep breath, he stood up from his seat, catching the attention of several passengers. "Everyone, please remain calm. We're going to be okay." His voice was steady, projecting confidence even though he felt a knot of anxiety in his stomach. The passengers turned to him, some with hopeful expressions, others still gripped by fear. Seeing their reaction, Marcus continued, "I know it's scary, but we need to listen to the crew. They are doing their best." As he spoke, he made his way toward the front of the cabin, where Lisa was trying to assist a woman who had begun to hyperventilate. "Ma'am, you need to breathe slowly," Lisa said, her voice shaky. Marcus approached them and gently placed a hand on the woman's shoulder. "It's all right. Just take deep breaths with me. In and out, nice and slow," he instructed, demonstrating the technique. The woman looked up at Marcus, her eyes wide with panic. Slowly, she began to follow his lead, breathing in rhythm with him. He could see Lisa watching, surprise etched on her face. The transformation from mocking to admiration was almost instantaneous as Marcus helped calm the woman. More passengers began to notice him. "Is he a doctor?" One man whispered to his wife. "Maybe he's a flight instructor," another speculated. Marcus could feel the shift in energy around him, the collective hope rising as he took charge of the situation. Turning back to Lisa, he said, "You need to keep the other passengers calm too. They'll follow your lead." There was an urgency in his voice, but he knew they could do this together. Lisa nodded, her face reflecting a mix of embarrassment and gratitude. "Right. Everyone, please stay in your seats and keep your seatbelts fastened," Lisa called out, her voice now steadier. She moved down the aisle, repeating the message to each passenger. Marcus followed her, encouraging everyone to remain calm and breathe deeply. As they worked together, the turbulence seemed to lessen, but Marcus knew that their challenge wasn't over. They still had to land the plane safely, and the crew needed all the help they could get. He needed to make sure they were prepared for whatever came next. After helping several more passengers, Marcus turned to Lisa, who was now visibly shaken. "You're doing great," he assured her, trying to bolster her confidence. "Just remember, we're all in this together." "Thank you," she replied, her voice softening. "I didn't expect this to happen. I thought I could handle it." Her admission surprised Marcus. Here was the same woman who had insulted him just hours ago, now expressing vulnerability. It was a reminder that everyone had their moments of fear, regardless of their position. "None of us expected this," Marcus replied. "The important thing is that we stay focused." He could see her nodding, her expression shifting from panic to determination. Suddenly, the captain's voice came over the intercom again. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are encountering some unexpected weather. We need to prepare for possible turbulence during our descent. Please ensure your seatbelts are fastened and remain seated." The announcement sent another wave of tension through the cabin. Marcus could see the fear returning to the passengers' faces. He felt a surge of responsibility wash over him. "Listen, everyone," he shouted. "We are going to be okay. Just remember what we practiced. Stay calm." With the captain's words echoing in his ears, Marcus knew that they were in a precarious situation. He could feel the plane beginning to shake again, and the lights flickered ominously. Panic rippled through the cabin, and he could hear murmurs of fear. "Stay focused, stay together," he urged, raising his voice over the din. The passengers looked to him for guidance, and he could see that they were beginning to believe in him. He felt a sense of unity forming, a collective will to overcome the fear that gripped them. As the flight attendants moved through the aisles, Marcus continued to encourage the passengers. He knew they needed to trust each other, especially now. "We're going to land soon," he said. "Just keep your seatbelts on and remember to breathe." In that moment, he became more than just a passenger. He became a leader. He could see Lisa gaining confidence as well, her earlier anxiety replaced with a sense of purpose. Together, they were working to keep everyone calm and focused. But just as they settled into a rhythm, the plane hit a particularly rough patch of turbulence, shaking violently. The lights flickered again, and several passengers gasped. The fear returned with a vengeance, but Marcus was determined not to let it overwhelm him. "Everyone, listen." He called out again. "We are going to be okay. Keep your eyes on me. Let's breathe together." He led them in a breathing exercise, encouraging them to follow his rhythm. Slowly but surely, he felt the tension ease in the cabin. As they continued their descent, Marcus knew that they would soon be landing. The crew would need to be at their best, and he was ready to help in any way he could. The turbulence might have mocked them, but it was nothing compared to the strength of their unity. As the plane began to stabilize, he felt a sense of pride swell within him. The crew may have judged him for his appearance, but now they were relying on him to help steer them through the storm. In this moment, he knew that he had truly found his place, right there among them, proving that respect is earned not by looks, but by action. With every passing moment, he felt the bonds of trust growing stronger among the passengers and crew. They would get through this together, and when they landed, they would have a story to tell. A story of overcoming fear, misunderstanding, and ultimately, unity in the face of crisis. The flight attendants would realize they had underestimated him, and in doing so, they would learn a valuable lesson about respect and humanity. The pilot's secret. As the airplane leveled out, the cabin filled with a sigh of relief from the passengers. The turbulence had calmed, and a few smiles began to replace the worried expressions. Marcus stood tall, feeling the surge of pride wash over him. They had made it through the worst of it, and he could sense the shift in the atmosphere. People were starting to see him not just as a fellow passenger, but as a hero. Lisa, visibly shaken but thankful, approached him. "I can't believe how you handled everything back there. You really saved us." Her voice was sincere, and Marcus could see the gratitude in her eyes. "I don't know what we would have done without you." Marcus smiled, feeling the warmth spread through him. "We did this together," he replied, knowing that teamwork had made all the difference. But beneath the surface, he felt a mix of emotions. The earlier mockery from the staff lingered in his mind, and he wanted to prove that he deserved respect, not just as a passenger, but as someone who had fought for his place in the sky. As the plane began its descent toward the airport, Marcus took a moment to collect his thoughts. He had always loved flying. The freedom, the view from above, and the feeling of being in control of a powerful machine brought him joy. But his journey to becoming a pilot had been far from easy. Years ago, Marcus had faced discrimination in flight school. Many of his peers doubted his abilities because of his race. There were times when he had almost given up, but he fought back against the prejudice. He studied hard, practiced tirelessly, and eventually earned his wings. Becoming a pilot had been his dream, and he wasn't going to let anyone take that away from him. Marcus, Lisa interrupted his thoughts. I never asked you, but what do you do? You seem so calm and collected. She tilted her head, curiosity shining in her eyes. He hesitated for a moment, weighing his words. I'm actually a pilot, he finally said, a hint of pride in his voice. I work for a different airline. The revelation hung in the air, and he could see her processing the information. No way, Lisa exclaimed, her surprise genuine. That's amazing. I had no idea. You really are a hero. The warmth in her voice felt like a balm, soothing the hurt from earlier mockery. Just then, the captain's voice crackled over the intercom again. Ladies and gentlemen, we are preparing for landing. Please ensure your seatbelts are fastened and your seatbacks are upright. The announcement pulled everyone's attention back to the situation at hand. Passengers began to straighten their seats, some still whispering about what had just happened. The cabin was abuzz with excitement and disbelief at how one man had turned the tide during a crisis. Marcus felt a responsibility to continue guiding the passengers. Okay, everyone, we're almost home. Just a little bit longer. Keep breathing, he encouraged, his voice steady and calming. As the plane descended, he could see the runway lights glowing in the distance. The tension in the cabin was palpable, but he focused on the passengers, ensuring they stayed relaxed. Lisa remained by his side, clearly inspired by his presence. I can't believe you were so brave, she said, her admiration evident. Most people would have panicked. Everyone has the capacity for bravery, Marcus replied, reflecting on his own journey. Sometimes it just takes the right moment to bring it out. He glanced at her, realizing that his experience could help others understand that courage comes in many forms. Suddenly, the plane hit a minor bump as it touched down on the runway. A few passengers gasped, but Marcus immediately spoke up. We're down. We made it. His voice broke through the fear, and cheers erupted in the cabin. Laughter and applause filled the air as they rolled to a stop. Lisa turned to him, her eyes shining with gratitude. Thank you, Marcus. You really saved us today. Marcus smiled, feeling a mix of humility and pride. We all helped each other. That's what teamwork is about. He glanced around the cabin, witnessing the camaraderie that had formed during the ordeal. Passengers exchanged stories, hugs, and laughter, their earlier fear transformed into relief and gratitude. As the doors opened and the jet bridge connected to the aircraft, the passengers began to file out. Marcus stayed seated for a moment, soaking in the atmosphere of triumph and connection. He could hear snippets of conversation, people recounting the chaotic moments and how he had helped them stay calm. Finally, he stood up and made his way to the exit, where Lisa was waiting for him. I hope we'll see you again sometime, Marcus. Maybe on another flight, she said, her smile brightening the moment. I'd like that, he replied, feeling a sense of camaraderie with her now. And maybe next time. I'll be in the cockpit. They both laughed, the earlier tension now a distant memory. As Marcus stepped off the plane, he felt a wave of satisfaction wash over him. He had faced mockery and prejudice, but he had also faced a crisis and emerged as a leader. The respect he had earned was a testament to his journey. He hoped that the airline staff had learned a valuable lesson about respect and understanding. As he walked through the terminal, He knew that he would carry this experience with him, not just as a reminder of the challenges he had overcome, but as a source of strength. The world needed more compassion and understanding, and he would continue to be an advocate for change in every flight he took. Marcus stepped out into the bustling airport, ready to embrace whatever came next. He had proven not just to himself, but to everyone on that flight, that true character shines brightest in moments of crisis. He was more than just a pilot. He was a symbol of resilience, hope, and the undeniable strength of humanity. The aftermath. The airplane terminal buzzed with activity, the excitement of passengers and their families mingling with the echoes of announcements and the whir of luggage carts. Marcus stepped into the terminal, the reality of what had just transpired settling in. He had faced a crisis head-on, and the exhilaration of being hailed as a hero was still fresh in his mind. However, the mocking voices of the airline staff echoed back to him, a stark reminder of the prejudice he had faced. As he walked through the terminal, he caught sight of Lisa, who was animatedly talking to a group of passengers, her hands gesturing excitedly. He felt a warmth spread through him at the sight. Despite the earlier humiliation, he knew they had all come together as a community during the flight, and Lisa had been the spark that lit that flame of unity. "Marcus," she called, spotting him amidst the crowd. She waved him over with enthusiasm. "Come meet some of the others. They want to thank you." Marcus approached, smiling as he joined the small gathering. Passengers surrounded him, sharing their gratitude and excitement about the flight. They took turns recounting their fears and how Marcus had inspired them to stay calm. Each word he heard reinforced his sense of purpose, reminding him of why he had chosen to be a pilot in the first place. "Your calmness saved us all," one older gentleman said, his voice steady. "I don't know how we would have managed without you." Another passenger chimed in. "You were like a rock in the storm. Thank you for showing us what real bravery looks like." As compliments flowed, Marcus felt a swell of pride. However, he also felt a deep responsibility. He knew that being recognized as a hero meant he had to stand for something more significant than himself. He had to be a voice against the prejudice he had encountered. "I appreciate your kind words," Marcus said, addressing the group. "But I want you to know that true bravery comes from everyone working together. We all played a part today, and it's essential to remember that we must respect one another, regardless of our differences." The group nodded in agreement, their expressions reflecting a newfound understanding. The ordeal they had faced had broken down barriers, revealing a shared humanity that transcended any divisions. After the conversation, Marcus noticed a small gathering of airline staff off to the side, whispering among themselves. His heart sank at the thought of facing them, but he knew it was necessary. He had to confront the ignorance he had faced earlier, not just for himself, but for anyone who might face the same challenges in the future. Gathering his courage, Marcus approached the group. He spotted the head flight attendant, Karen, who had been particularly dismissive during the flight. She looked up, her expression shifting from surprise to unease. "Marcus," she said, attempting to maintain professionalism, "we wanted to thank you for your help back there." "Thank you, but I think we need to talk," Marcus replied firmly. The other staff members shifted uncomfortably, glancing at each other, unsure of how to react. "Look, I understand that emotions were high during the flight," Karen said, trying to deflect. "We appreciate your bravery, truly. But it's not just about today," Marcus interrupted, his voice steady. "It's about how we treat each other every day. I heard the comments you made when I boarded. They were hurtful and disrespectful." Karen's face flushed. "I didn't mean to." "No one ever does," Marcus said, cutting her off. "But intentions don't matter when your words affect someone's life. I fought hard to become a pilot. I want to be treated with respect, just like anyone else in this profession." The group fell silent, their expressions shifting as they processed his words. Marcus could see the realization dawning on them. He had not just confronted them. He had opened a dialogue about respect and humanity. "We're sorry, Marcus," One of the younger attendants said quietly, "We didn't realize the impact of our words. It won't happen again." "Thank you," Marcus said, feeling a glimmer of hope. "It's important for all of us to be aware of how we speak to one another. You never know who you're talking to." He turned to leave, feeling a weight lift off his shoulders. Confronting the airline staff had not been easy, but he knew it was necessary. He had set an example, and perhaps, just perhaps, they would think twice before making hurtful comments in the future. As he walked back to the terminal's exit, Marcus spotted Lisa waiting for him. She had a phone in her hand, her face illuminated by the screen. "Marcus, you need to see this," she exclaimed, her eyes wide with excitement. "What is it?" he asked, curiosity piqued. "I just posted about what happened on social media," she said, her voice bubbling with enthusiasm. "People are already sharing their stories about discrimination and respect in aviation. It's going viral." Marcus felt a rush of emotions at her words. The incident had ignited a conversation beyond the plane. People were sharing their experiences, opening up about their struggles, and standing together for change. He took a moment to process the power of social media and its ability to amplify voices. "Let me see," he said, looking at her phone. The post showed images of the flight, along with stories of passengers praising him for his bravery. The comment section was filled with messages of support and solidarity. "I can't believe this," he said, his heart swelling with pride. "This is incredible. We can turn this moment into a movement." "Exactly," Lisa replied, her eyes sparkling. "You've inspired so many people today. We can't let this go to waste." Together, they brainstormed ideas about how to keep the momentum going. They discussed creating a campaign focused on respect and awareness in aviation, a movement that would not only highlight the importance of kindness, but also encourage others to share their stories. As they left the terminal, Marcus felt a renewed sense of purpose. He had not just faced a challenge. He had sparked a conversation. The journey ahead would not be easy, but he was ready to embrace it. With Lisa by his side, he knew they could create change. They would not let the moment slip away. Together, they would show the world the power of compassion and unity. They would fight for a future where everyone was treated with respect, regardless of the color of their skin or the profession they chose. With hope in their hearts, they stepped into the future, ready to make a difference. A new beginning. As days turned into weeks, the social media post that Lisa had shared continued to gain traction. The hashtag Respect in Aviation began trending, as more people shared their stories about discrimination and kindness in the airline industry. Marcus felt a sense of pride every time he saw someone use the hashtag. It was a sign that their message was being heard, and that change was slowly beginning to take root. Marcus and Lisa worked tirelessly to keep the conversation alive. They organized virtual meetups where people could share their experiences and discuss how they could promote respect and kindness in aviation. Marcus often took the lead, sharing his own story and encouraging others to speak up about their challenges. The virtual meetings turned into a safe space where people could connect, share, and uplift one another. One evening, while preparing for their weekly meeting, Marcus received a call from Lisa. Her voice was filled with excitement. "Marcus, you won't believe this. A major news outlet wants to interview you about the movement." "Are you serious?" Marcus exclaimed, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. "What will I say?" "Just be yourself. They want to hear your story and how you stood up against discrimination." Lisa encouraged. "This is a chance to reach even more people." Marcus took a deep breath, his mind racing with thoughts of how to convey the importance of respect and kindness. He had spent so long fighting against prejudice. Now he had the opportunity to spread awareness on a larger scale. "Okay, let's do this," he finally said, determination in his voice. On the day of the interview, Marcus dressed carefully, putting on a crisp white shirt and a navy blazer. He wanted to look professional and ready to make an impact. As he sat in front of the camera, he felt a rush of nerves. But when the interviewer introduced him, Marcus focused on the message he wanted to convey. The interview started with questions about the incident on the plane. Marcus recounted the moment when the airline staff had mocked him and how, in the face of adversity, he had managed to keep calm and save the passengers. He spoke about the aftermath and how the hashtag respect in aviation had come to life. As he spoke, Marcus felt a wave of confidence wash over him. He shared his vision for a future where all individuals, regardless of their background, would be treated with respect in every industry. He urged viewers to stand up against discrimination and to foster a culture of kindness. After the interview, Marcus felt invigorated. The host thanked him for sharing his story, and he knew they had created a powerful moment that would resonate with many. As he stepped away from the camera, he couldn't help but smile. This was more than just an interview. It was a step toward making a real difference. The following days were a whirlwind. News outlets picked up the story, sharing clips from the interview and highlighting the growing movement. Emails poured in from individuals and organizations wanting to support #respect in aviation. Marcus felt overwhelmed but grateful for the outpouring of support. One day, Lisa called him with big news. "Marcus, we've been invited to speak at an aviation conference next month. They want us to present on the importance of respect and diversity in the industry." Marcus could hardly contain his excitement. "This is amazing. We can reach so many people at the conference and inspire them to join our movement." As they prepared for the conference, they decided to create a presentation that included stories from passengers, airline staff, and other pilots who had faced discrimination. They wanted to illustrate that change was possible when people stood together. On the day of the conference, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. As Marcus and Lisa took the stage, he felt the weight of their mission on his shoulders. He looked out into the audience, seeing faces eager to learn and engage. This was their moment to make a difference. Marcus spoke passionately about the need for respect in aviation. He shared his experience of being mocked, but he also highlighted the unity that had emerged from the crisis. Lisa chimed in, sharing stories of others who had faced similar challenges. Together, they painted a vivid picture of the potential for positive change. As they concluded their presentation, Marcus encouraged the audience to take action. "We have the power to create a culture of respect in our industry," he said, his voice firm. "Let's support one another, uplift each other, and ensure that everyone, regardless of their background, feels valued." The audience erupted into applause, and Marcus felt a swell of hope. People approached them after the presentation, sharing their stories and expressing their desire to support the movement. He could see that the seeds of change were being sown, and it filled him with optimism for the future. In the weeks that followed, Marcus and Lisa continued to engage with individuals and organizations eager to join #respect in aviation. They held workshops, created online resources, and even collaborated with airlines to develop training programs focused on diversity and respect. The movement grew beyond their wildest expectations. Through their hard work, they inspired a new generation of aviation professionals who understood the importance of kindness and respect. Marcus realized that what had started as a moment of humiliation had transformed into a powerful movement for change. They had shown that adversity could spark unity, and that together they could create a more inclusive future for everyone in aviation. As he reflected on their journey, Marcus felt grateful for the support he had received along the way. From Lisa to the passengers who stood by him, they had all played a part in this incredible story. And now, they were not just telling a story. They were writing a new chapter for the aviation industry, one filled with hope, respect, and the promise of a brighter future. A legacy of change. Months passed, and the #respect in aviation movement continued to gain momentum. Marcus and Lisa had become prominent advocates for change in the airline industry. Their tireless efforts to promote respect and diversity were beginning to bear fruit, and they were invited to speak at conferences and events across the country. One sunny afternoon, as Marcus was preparing for another speaking engagement, he received an unexpected phone call. It was from the CEO of a major airline, who wanted to personally meet him and Lisa to discuss a potential partnership. "Are you serious?" Marcus said, almost in disbelief. "What do they want to talk about?" "They want to collaborate with us to implement training programs on respect and diversity for their staff," Lisa replied, her excitement bubbling over. This could be huge. When the day arrived for their meeting, Marcus and Lisa dressed professionally, feeling a mix of nerves and anticipation. As they walked into the sleek corporate office, they were greeted warmly by the CEO and several other executives. The meeting started with the executives praising their work and the positive impact of the #RespectInAviation movement. Marcus shared stories of how the movement had inspired changes in airline policies and practices. He emphasized the need for continuous education on respect and diversity, not just as a response to incidents, but as a proactive measure to create a better workplace for everyone. As the discussion deepened, the CEO leaned forward. "We believe that every airline staff member should undergo training that emphasizes respect for all passengers, regardless of their background. We want to implement these training sessions company-wide, and we think you two are the perfect fit to lead this initiative." Marcus and Lisa had exchanged excited glances. This was a dream come true. They could help shape a culture of respect within a major airline, reaching countless staff and passengers. They eagerly accepted the offer and began outlining a plan for the training programs. Over the following months, Marcus and Lisa worked closely with the airline to develop comprehensive training sessions. They invited industry experts and community leaders to participate, ensuring a diverse range of perspectives. They incorporated interactive workshops, role-playing scenarios, and discussions that allowed participants to reflect on their own experiences and biases. The first training session was set to launch at a major hub airport. On the day of the event, Marcus felt a rush of nervous energy as he prepared to speak to a large group of airline staff. He remembered the humiliation he had faced on that flight and how far they had come since then. This was a chance to make a lasting impact. As he stepped onto the stage, he looked out at the audience. Staff members from various roles, flight attendants, gate agents, and pilots, filled the room. Marcus took a deep breath, knowing this was more than just a presentation. It was a chance to change lives. "Thank you all for being here today," he began. "We're here to talk about respect. Respect for each other, respect for our passengers, and respect for the culture we are building in this industry." He shared his story, the mockery he faced, and how it motivated him to fight for change. The room was silent as he spoke. Marcus could see the impact his words had on the audience, many nodding in understanding and empathy. As the training progressed, Lisa facilitated discussions that encouraged the staff to share their own experiences with discrimination or kindness in the workplace. The atmosphere shifted. People began to open up, revealing their vulnerabilities and insights. Marcus and Lisa guided the conversations, helping participants see how their actions could create a ripple effect of positivity in their work environments. By the end of the training session, the room buzzed with renewed energy. Staff members approached Marcus and Lisa, thanking them for their honesty and the opportunity to learn. They expressed a desire to continue this journey, to be better, and to ensure that every passenger felt welcomed and valued. The success of the first session led to more training events across different locations. Each session built upon the last, creating a network of airline staff dedicated to promoting respect and kindness. The movement grew beyond what Marcus had ever imagined. Months later, the airline reported a significant decrease in complaints related to discrimination. Passengers began sharing their positive experiences, praising the airline for its commitment to respect and inclusivity. Social media buzzed with stories of kindness, and the #RespectInAviation movement became a symbol of hope and change within the industry. One evening, as Marcus and Lisa reviewed the feedback from their recent training, Marcus received another call, this time from a prestigious aviation magazine. They wanted to feature Marcus and Lisa on their cover, highlighting their contributions to the industry. "This is unbelievable," Marcus exclaimed, feeling overwhelmed with gratitude. "We've come so far." As the article came together, they shared their journey, the initial incident that sparked the movement, the struggles they faced, and the community they built. They emphasized that change was possible and that everyone had a role to play in fostering a culture of respect. When the magazine hit the stands, Marcus felt a sense of pride as he saw their story shared with thousands. It wasn't just about recognition. It was about inspiring others to take action in their own communities. In the months that followed, Marcus and Lisa continued to advocate for respect in aviation and beyond. They spoke at schools, community centers, and various organizations, encouraging everyone to join the movement. They shared the importance of standing up against discrimination and supporting one another in creating a more inclusive world. As they looked back on their journey, Marcus realized that the pain he had experienced had led to something beautiful. From a moment of humiliation, they had created a legacy of change. Together, they had shown that kindness could triumph over adversity and that every voice mattered in the fight for respect. With a heart full of hope, Marcus understood that their work was far from over. There were still challenges to face, but now they faced them together, empowered by a community that believed in the power of change. The journey had just begun, and he was excited to see where it would lead next.